Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I have two 40% alcohol tequila. This is Montezuma tequila from NOM 1142, introduced in 1974 by Barton Imports. Still says Barton Imports on the label. But Barton was purchased by the Sazerac. They were bought out by the Sazerac company in 2009. They sell this around here, so it was $8.99 for the bottle. It's common in my town and all across Louisiana. I don't know about where you live. They used to run ads for it back in the 70s and 80s when Barton owned it, but there hasn't been any advertising attention for it in probably 40 years. It's a low-level brand. It's a mixed tequila. We changed it into what this next one is. If I'm right from checking Walmart's website, this is a Bandolero Silver, and it's not called Bandolero Silver Tequila. It's called Bandolero Producto Especial Silver, Special Product Silver. Yeah, tequila with natural flavors. Not even a true tequila, because tequila is not allowed to have flavoring added. You say it's illegal to add flavoring to tequila. It is. It is. So the question is, how can they sell it if it's illegal to add flavoring to tequila? Because they're not selling it as tequila. They're selling it as silver, tequila with natural flavors. I know it's totally a technical difference. It's not a difference that makes any impression on the general public, and it's always going to be sold in the tequila section. Introduced in 1987 by Brookstone Distilling, they call it. You notice both of these bottles are the same bottle, different label, the same bottle design. So it tells you who the parent company is, because they use this standard bottle on so many products. We'll go clean this one off a little bit, and we'll get back to it. You'll notice over the last few years, maybe even 6 years, I don't know how long, most of these Sazerac produced or contract produced, because they don't produce it, it's produced by a contractor in Mexico. But even if it's not that, if it's like brandy or something, they've transitioned from tequila to tequila with natural flavors. Basically all of them, all the lower end, what you call bottom shelf products. This I don't know the answer for. I know they've done it. I don't know why they've done it. Because I went to Walmart and I noticed that Montezuma is now called Montezuma Gold Tequila with natural flavors. Montezuma Silver Tequila with natural flavors. Now they always did make a Montezuma Blue label, which was a tequila liqueur. Okay, it was tequila and triple sec. It's called Montezuma Blue. I've seen that at Total Wine & More. Haven't seen it around here, but that exists. There was Margaritaville Silver and Gold Tequila. You can still find it at Walmart, although they went to the big bottles, the big jug bottles, glass, not plastic. It also changed over the last few months, not years, maybe a year, but I don't think that long. Now it says Margaritaville Gold Tequila with natural flavors. So, and I guess the Margaritaville company, they didn't care because they would have objected to it otherwise. It's right there on the shelf. That's that company with the restaurants and Landshark Lager beer and the tequilas and the rums. And that's from Jimmy Buffett. He passed away, but his family still runs it, obviously, or has a very big interest in it. So they're both silver. The appearance won't matter, but I think the flavor will matter because I think that the Bandolero is very bland and does not taste proper. So I'm not, if from now on, if I see tequila with natural flavors, I'm passing it up. Bandolero tequila silver. So they're saying tequila, but then the label says Bandolero Producto Especial silver tequila with natural flavors. So even Albertsons doesn't realize there's a difference. If they do realize it, they certainly don't care. Okay, and probably none of the customers do. Punches, fruit-forward cocktails, or on its own. I wouldn't recommend it on its own, folks. This tequila brings you what you need to any party. Really, the low price point makes it a quick and easy decision for value tequila customers. So they're focused on that, not for serious tequila customers that want the rich flavor of tequila. Agave, yeah, agave, probably sugarcane vodka, and then these flavors. What the flavors are, I don't know. Then about the producer, notice it doesn't say Brookstone Distilling. The bottle says, they say the Sazerac Company. Oh yes, what is the price? They're not showing the price, but they will show the price if I go to tequila and mezcal. Seems to be a problem here. Okay. Yeah, $15.99. Which is I don't know why they're not showing the price here, but it's $15.99 to end of the year. And for a counterpoint, Jose Cuervo is it's $30.99. And if you notice, Margaritaville, $17.99 for just a regular size bottle. So this Bandolero is the cheapest doggone thing you can buy at Albertsons that is involved with tequila. They are a mess. And they got some cheapo vodkas over there. And they're the same company as Vons, because Albertsons owns Vons. They own Safeway, who actually technically owns the trademark. If you check the trademark data, U.S. Trademark Office, it says that Bandolero is owned by Safeway stores, but then Safeway is owned by, I don't know why they're having a problem with this website here. Let's see, spirits. Shop all spirits. Let's go there. It might be it's early in the morning. They might be working on their website. It's probably what's going on. They're updating it, and it's like not showing everything like it normally does, not properly. Usually it's just it's nothing to look it up. Here it is, Vitali. Look at this low price, folks. $9.99 for Vitali vodka. I have seen this for years at Albertsons, and I don't even recall it ever being $9.99. Buy a full-size bottle, and it's not vodka with, oh, yep, they changed it. Vodka with natural flavors. Oh, man. You guys are something else, Sazerac. Vodka. Okay, but there it is, Vitali. I've never tried it and ain't going to try it. don't think I'll ever try it. Okay. I was wearing my Tulane cap in a video recently, and somebody asked me, did I graduate from Tulane? I said no, but many of my family members did. First cousins. My grandfather went to Tulane Medical School. My great grandfather graduated from Tulane Medical School. But it's a local team. They're always on the news. I mean, my whole life growing up, So you follow the team that's local. If you live in Philadelphia, you probably follow Temple, local college team. If you like college football, professional football. Obviously, the Eagles, here, the Saints. And up the river in Baton Rouge, we have Louisiana State University, which is the flagship school for the state. Everybody follows them, I went to Southeastern Louisiana University, the Lions, a regional university, part of the University of Louisiana system. I learned a lot over there, and I had fun over there, and I liked it. Never talked to a single person that didn't like Louisiana University. Never have. No, I know some people that never graduated from there because they probably had no business going to college, but yeah, so all right. This smells like nothing. I mean, you can get the sense that it's a liquor, but I don't even know really if you gave this to somebody blind and said, smell it, what kind of liquor is it? I don't know if they'd be able to figure it out. They might say rum. It's that it has that much lack of character. Now here you would say tequila. Now you might not say great tequila, and I hope you wouldn't, but it's, get that peppery vegetable agave aroma. So yeah, this has got to be Montezuma, because Bandolero, from my experience here, has no aroma and not much flavor. And I haven't gotten it wrong yet, but you know what happens. I keep talking about that, and then eventually I'll get it wrong. It's got this black pepper note. No, it does not contain black pepper. I don't know why they taste like that. They just do to me. And it's got that vegetable, that like succulent plant vegetable, almost like a bell pepper, which is kind of like a succulent type of thing. It's like got the juice in it and everything. Anytime you peel a bell pepper, you get that green juice on your hands. Not peel it, but you know what I'm saying, cut it with a paring knife. I love bell pepper. I didn't like bell pepper when I was little, when I was up until around 15 years old. I didn't like it. There's something about it. I didn't like the taste. But when you're little, you don't like certain things, and then later you start liking them. Like I didn't like sour cream, now I do. I used to love fruit juice when I was little, now I don't like it. So, little children like a lot of sugar, and then your taste changed. You see, I couldn't stand hot sauce because I thought it's so hot. Like Tabasco, I would think, it's so hot. How does my grandfather put that on his eggs? I couldn't get over that. He's going to eat his eggs with Tabasco. But now, it's not even, I don't even consider it a hot sauce. I consider it more like a very flavorful and savory, and I loved it, but I wouldn't use the term hot because you get so acclimated to it. And then I'll try something that says extra hot, and it's not, really hot. Popeye's spicy chicken. Yeah, it's spicy. I ate 2 pieces yesterday, white meat. I like white meat, dark meat, doesn't matter. But I said, give me white today. And it was really good. They got the best batter, And I love Church's too. No knock against Church's now, don't get me wrong. But I think Popeye's got the best batter, which is actually developed in a secret laboratory in New Orleans, Metairie, Louisiana. But there's nothing hot about it. Now, some of the cayenne pepper in it made me choke, but it wasn't hot. It's spicy. Now, back in the 1970s and 80s, when Al Copeland the original owner owned Popeyes, they didn't have spicy. They had regular and hot. That's what they call it, regular and hot. And the hot was hot. I mean, it was like really hot. But when they went nationwide in 1989, started selling across the country, then they changed the recipe to mild and spicy. So they toned down the heat to go up to New York, and to Puerto Rico. When I was in Puerto Rico in January, there was Popeyes right on the main road, main highway 25, I think it was called, Boulevard. But because I noticed in Puerto Rico, they don't really like spicy food. Oh, well, spicy, yes, with spices flavor, but heat, nah, no. Because I ate a bunch of different meals there and none of it was hot. And I know some people from Central America and from Cuba, and they don't like spice. They don't like the heat. I asked them, you like heat? Man, no. Mexico, they say Mexico, yes, that's what they like, all that. But Guatemala, Nicaragua, Cuba, they say, no, we don't like it. Okay, Joe Cobb says, morning, right? Morning to you, Joe. Okay, back to this. Cuban food is mild, says Joe. Yeah, I see in my mind, this is me thinking. In my mind, food was fiery hot because my only exposure really was to Mexican food. So I thought it was all the same. Like I thought if you went to Spain, it was like real hot. But no, I went to Spain and I had good meals, but it was not hot. It wasn't hot in any way. And they generally didn't have hot sauce setting on the table. You had to ask for it or whatever. But so I said, well, I learned something. I did find out they love to eat. I used to read about this in geography books. The Spaniards love to eat late meals, like 10 o'clock at night, eat a big steak dinner. And I'm like, who would do that? And I thought that's probably just some kind of incorrect thing, but I went over there and sure enough, I walked around the city, La Linea de la Concepcion, 10 o'clock at night, down in the central city, and in the nightclub restaurant area, similar to the French Quarter in New Orleans, very similar, very similar actually, and packed with people. Now it was a Saturday night, of course, but packed with people and eating steak dinners. I say 10 o'clock at night. And that's apparently what they do. In the breakfast, they don't start eating that till around 8. I eat breakfast till 4 in the morning. So found out that History of the English People by J.R. Green book in an audio book format so I can listen while doing other things. Probably not as good as actually reading from memory recall, though. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'd rather read it. I get more out of it if I'm reading it, but I have listened to stuff. Latin people love late meals and drinking. Apparently so. And it looked like with breakfast, they were bringing them little snifter glasses, smaller than this, little snifter glasses with their eggs, their desayuno, the huevos and the jamon, and all the bread. They love bread over there, pan. And then they would bring them a little clear, it was like gold colored. I said, that's liquor. And they dressed nice for breakfast. They were like, wear like a nice shirt. And it's like over here in America where we're animals, people will wear pajamas to a restaurant, but they wear like nice clothes, to go to eat breakfast. And of course it was Sunday morning, but I said they're drinking scotch with their breakfast, a little 3-ounce, 2-ounce glass, maybe. I couldn't get over that. But the coffee was amazing. The coffee in Alaska was great. Coffee in Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, Ontario, Quebec that's all everywhere I went, they were drinking coffee, and smoking cigarettes. Is that like a law in Canada that you have to smoke cigarettes? You're supposed to, but and then in Spain, the coffee was great, man. You just get a cup of coffee and they would bring it in a tall glass, not a coffee mug like we, but a tall clear glass. They would hold the top of the glass, and they would have cafe con leche, or like they say around here, cafe au lait, coffee and milk. And it was really good. They do generally have better bread in Europe than North America. Of course, we have good bakeries here, but it's not common for people to buy from them often. Yeah, over there they have like bakeries. And you could go and get food there too. Like they would have eggs and bacon stuff and maybe diced potatoes, typical breakfast. But then they had some lady bringing bread or coming to get bread. That's right. She was coming to buy bread, a couple of loaves. And it's all like French bread, like we think of hard, crusty bread. You cut slices of it. Of course, they have sliced bread in the bags. But I mostly saw them eating the fresh baked bread. I would go back to Spain, I would go back tomorrow, but I wouldn't want to fly for 12 hours. I just couldn't stand it. It's like when I got off the plane, I said, I ain't never going back because of the flight. I didn't mind going there, walking around and looking at everything. That was fun. It's the travel I hated. I mean, they gave good food on the plane, and they even gave me free beer. I mean, you were supposed to pay for it. But they just gave it to me. I didn't ask for free beer. I said, oh, you have Goose Island IPA? And the girl said, yeah, but my machine's not working. Because you had to do your credit card. I wasn't paying $8 for a can anyway. She said, well, you could just have one. Didn't understand that. But the thing is, fresh baked bread only really lasts 2 to 3 days without preservatives. So unless you eat a lot of it, it's kind of like a waste of food and money. It's cheap to learn how to bake, but it takes time. Yeah. Now I get this French bread from Gambino's bakery, and I notice it stays good in the fridge. I learned that years ago. If I put bread in the refrigerator, it doesn't get moldy. It's just cold, and if I take it out, I'll put it in the oven, the toaster for a little bit. Then I'll put some sandwich bread on it, or butter and strawberry preserves or peanut butter. They seem to be generous people, friendly. I don't know if it's a Latin thing. Yeah, well, that was not the Latinos on the airplane. That was British Airways. Yeah, that's a good tip. I didn't know about it either. I just figured one day, I just thought about this. I said, I wonder if I put it in the fridge if it'll last longer, because it was kept going moldy. Like bread would always get moldy. I never could finish the loaf. I said, I ain't got nothing to lose. So I put it in the fridge, and I think one time in 25 years, the bread got mold on it. So that's the key. Now I always go straight to the refrigerator with it, and it never turns bad. And I can keep it for weeks. But I buy the Gambinos. It comes in a big pack. You get like 6 French breads in there. And that stuff's good. It's baked right there 20 miles away. They deliver it, But anyway, I bought the ticket for American Airlines when I went to England and Gibraltar round trip. It was American Airlines. I bought the ticket. But then once you got there, it was British Airways. You had to transfer to British Airways. And then on the way back, it was British Airways. But it was under the American Airlines ticket, because they call that the Star Alliance. All these different airline companies are teamed up to share passengers and routes. So I didn't care as long as I got there. They were friendly. Same thing when I went to Alaska. It was American Airlines, but once I got to Seattle, then it was Alaskan Airlines there and back to Seattle. But it was still American Airline ticket. I didn't question it. This stuff is a train wreck. I hear a train, and this is a train wreck. Does it taste bad? No, it doesn't taste bad. I'm not tasting anything that's like, oh, this is terrible. I hate the flavor. No, I'm saying, where is the flavor? It's like drinking sugar water. If that appeals to you, you say, well, you only paid $5.99. It was actually $5.98. Okay, I paid $5 too much. If it would have been 98 cents, I'll be pleased. Now, the gold label had more flavor. Wasn't exactly anything fabulous, but it had more flavor. The silver, this silver is, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's a B minus. It is good in some questionable way. See, it's hard for me to give a C. Like something's got to really have Now, if it didn't have that little goodness to it, yeah, it would definitely be in the C range, like average. And it is, I mean, really, when you think about it, a B minus is as good as an F. Because you don't have to try hard to get a B or a B plus. If you buy in beer, wine, and liquor, you could just randomly buy something and it's going to usually be a B plus or an A minus, something like that. If the quality level is high these days. You say, what about the 90s? I don't know. I wasn't around. Or the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, not drinking. So maybe they had shabby products like this all along. I don't know. But this thing does not get recommended, even though it's a B minus. Because who in the world wants to go buy something that's a B minus? I certainly don't. Yeah, it seems like the United Kingdom are allied in everything but name. Maybe it's better this way politically and such. I don't know why the United States broke away from Great Britain, if you want to know the truth. Was that whole thing a pantomime, some kind of sham revolution? You know what I mean? Like, did they get behind closed doors in secret and say, look, let's have this revolution and we could break away with this independent country with this, freedom government, and then we can collaborate as though we're still one empire and run the world. And then people won't understand what's going on, and then we could manipulate everything. And they won't know it. They won't realize it. Because I'm thinking, what is all of this? Because I said the other day, the United States is nothing but an appendage of the British Empire, an appendage entity. Now you say, you're crazy. That's a conspiracy theory. It's not a theory, and it's not a conspiracy. Read about the Monroe Doctrine. Now, we talk about this in history books. The Monroe Doctrine, James Monroe's administration. I think it was John Quincy Adams, who was the Secretary of State. They developed this policy that no British or other European country could take any new territory in the Americas. The United States would protect North and South America from any more colonization. You say, that sounds good. America is protecting Brazil and Paraguay and Venezuela from colonization. But then when you read further in the history books, it says this policy was actually developed by the British Foreign Office. They wanted that to be in place because they wanted to set up trading contracts with all the new independent countries in South America, Central America. Whereas when they were under Spain's control, Spain did not allow their colonies to do international trade, which didn't make much sense. But they thought it would sound better if they put it under the American brand, you see. So they were like, hello, oh boy, how about you put it out? Okay, so they issued the Monroe Doctrine. Sounded better than the London Doctrine. Then you look at the open door policy in China. History books say Secretary of State Hay, 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 called for an open door policy with China, that no country could dominate China and there would be free trade with China around the world to protect China from coming under European control. Yeah, that's right. You guessed right. Same story. The British developed it. They wanted that. But they told the United States, you issue it because it sounds better, I guess. So they're like I said, their appendage says, okay, let's have an open door policy in China. the policy, is the policy now. And sort of led to World War II with Japan. When Japan decided to go to war with the United States and the British Empire for nagging them about the China war. And they did nag them about it because they said they were violating the open door policy, that Japan was trying to dominate Chinese trade. And who did Japan declare war on? The United States and the British Empire, who worked hand in hand to defeat them, and Germany. Same thing, World War I. I'm thinking, well, why are we celebrating the revolution? Okay, okay, last comments. Okay, I've never revealed it. I'll reveal it. If I'm wrong, I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. Maybe I am crazy. This is the Montezuma bottle, glass. Did I pour them in the wrong thing? I don't believe I did. This one's peppery, and no, something ain't right. Oh, I was sitting on my hand. I was sitting on my hand for so long it got numb. I got to pour some more. You say you're just a drunk. You're trying to drink more. Actually, I'm trying to nurse this. I don't know why anybody would want to nurse this thing, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I don't even know why. Okay. Okay. That is about the blandest thing I ever tasted in my life. And I've tasted a lot of bland things in my life. Believe most food I get from restaurants is bland. Now, if I make the food, it ain't bland. Okay, what happened? I guess I poured it in the wrong glass, but I'm gonna count it as a loss, though. I'm not gonna count it as a win. I'm gonna count it as getting it wrong, because I don't think there's an excuse for that. If I did it in a wrong pour, that's on me. Would I recommend Montezuma? Well, I thought I would. I thought I did. I thought I recommended it. I thought I recommended it. This is a very strange situation here. I got to pour a little bit. You say, no, I don't want to drink too much. I'm just pouring a little splash. Got to go walking. Oh, daylight is here. Yay. I love regular time. I hate daylight saving time. Now you see, this has got that pepperiness. But maybe I didn't pour it in the wrong glass. Maybe they're just so bland either way that they're not much to talk about. I paid $5.98. I paid $8.99. I don't know, man. You get these low shelf tequilas, you're just asking for trouble. Not to get sick. Like I have people telling me, oh, I got so sick with tequila, I'll never drink it again. And I'm thinking, I don't think you drank a little bit. There's no way they drank 2 ounces and they got deathly sick for 2 days. Those people are going buck wild with it. Ain't no way they drank a little bit of tequila, got sick. Because you saw what I consumed, and I am not going to be sick. Okay, last comments. Some people get it, and some people just get mad when you explain it, and can lead to a horse to water, right? You cannot lead some people are fanatical, can't discuss politics with them because they're very, they have very dedicated, or if you want to call it, formed ideas. And it's, they've been conditioned to this, and they don't think creatively. Like they only think linear. They have linear thought. Like they can only think in a line. They can't like detach themselves and say, well, maybe there's more to this story. Okay. Maybe it would be more palatable mixed with some club soda and lemon juice. Yeah, it might be. Wouldn't be worse palatable. I read the United Kingdom made more money trading with the USA after the Revolution compared to the 13 colonies. It's probably true. Yeah, I call it the arm wing of the British Empire, laughing out loud. Some people get it. Some people just get mad when you explain. Okay. Yeah, the British Empire was always about trade first, not conquering. That's how they conquer people, through trade. Most U.S. states also have reception statutes in relation to the British Commonwealth common law and how they formed their own laws from it. I know Louisiana was more French, though. Yeah, the American states follow British common law, which means they have a constitution, but their actual law is based on precedent, court cases. True story. So, in other words, it's not what the law says on the books, it's how judges interpreted the law through court cases. Whereas Louisiana follows Napoleonic Code, which is, no, it's what it says on the statute. It's not, well, this is how we look at it, or this is how we've tended to carry out the law. Napoleonic Code is, what does the law say? And what does it mean? And that's how you base it. But the British Empire, the United States, 49 states, base it on, well, it might say that, but on the other hand, this is the way we're going to do it, which is very dangerous, I think. Thanks for the little bit of information. Got more stuff to research, says Joe, laughing out loud. Daylight saving time is delusional, says Shaggy. Yes, sick. People need to keep an open mind and question everything. I know, but people are very, like, straitjacketed in what they're thinking. Yeah, I read about British laws all the time. I'm always reading about things but I go to the primary source. I don't read about what somebody says, like, well, Russell Brand said. No, I don't read what I read. What does the UK.gov say? You know what I'm saying? I go to their actual website, unitedkingdom.gov, which we call a primary source. What do they say about their own government? Not what do other people say about it. Or I go to canada.gov, or US government, or Australian government. And I found that Australia has a law, well, actually, it's part of their constitution, Article 59. And it says, and this is still in effect today, it's not been repealed ever. It was never used, actually. But the law of Australia says that any law that is passed, you can check me on that. I don't care. I used to tell my students all the time when I taught high school, I said, if you think I'm wrong, do the research and you come back in tomorrow or the next day and you show me that I'm wrong. But I said, you better bring sources and don't come at me with a bad attitude. I said, you say, look, I don't understand what you're saying here. I got some information to say otherwise. We'll entertain that. I said, that's part of studying history. I said, okay. And they never really did that, but they would say, but I don't understand what you're saying here. And then we talk about it. Some people's line of argument is like this. You're an idiot. That's their argument. You are an idiot. That's not an argument, okay? If that's all you got to bring to the table, you need to get off the table, get away. All right? I can bring things to the table. I've done the research, okay? And I'm talking about Article 59. It says any law, look it up. It's on the Australian website, not my website. I don't have some conspiracy website. It's on the Australia.gov website, the Parliament of Australia. They say, well, yes, that is part of our Constitution. Article 59 says that the King, Charles III, can annul any Australian law within 1 year of its adoption. So in other words, if they pass a law in Australia, or I should say pass a bill, and the governor general signs it, now it's in effect. Just like the president last night signed the spending bill to end the shutdown. As soon as his signature is done, then it's in effect. They said from that moment of the signature, there's 1 year, exactly 1 year, that the king can annul it. He could just send a message saying, I annul this law. And it's an absolute veto, cannot be overridden. It's not like the United States where the 2/3 of the Congress can override a veto. The law is just gone. And I don't even know if it could be passed again. But like they said on their website, this prerogative has never been exercised. In other words, it exists, but it's never been done. In other words, in the whole history of Australia since 1901, January 1st, 1901, no British monarch has ever annulled an Australian law. But it exists. And that's why some Australians are saying, we're not an independent country, we're a colony because the king can annul any law we make. Yeah, but, like he's never done that. Although behind the scenes, they did have an investigation where they found that the British royal family had gotten over 1,000 laws pulled. In other words, they weren't vetoed. They were never brought to the floor for debate. In other words, they would, and it was usually Prince Charles, not King Charles, when he was a prince. It was usually Prince Charles saying, he never said, like, I demand you don't pass this law. But they were like phone conversations. This was some public information, call it a Public Information Act. He never said, I demand you don't pass this law. But it was like phone conversations. Do you really want to pass this law? Why are you promoting this? Oh, your oldest son, he's looking to go to university, right? Meaning he's going to get a scholarship. And of course, the king controls, not the government. No, not anymore. They're just a figurehead. They don't have any influence. Haven't you read your history books? They don't control the parliament, but if you read their actual website, they control patronage. They say scholarships. Well, now, my child can go to university for free scholarship. And they might ask a question like, your oldest son, he's looking to go to university, right? They don't have to say anything else. Then the bill gets pulled. It doesn't go to the floor. They call it tabled. We'll look at that another time. So if you read carefully, when he became king, one of the things he said was, okay, I promise I'm not going to interfere with the government anymore. Which means what? He was interfering with the government for the last 40 years. So I was just fascinated by all these articles, And he would do the dirty work like his mother, Queen Elizabeth, she wouldn't get involved, But apparently he was the hunting dog, say, oh, he was always contacting people. Because he knew everybody. They go to all these dinner parties. That's what they do. They go to dinner parties and say, what's this bill about this financial thing with the bank? Oh, yes. Well, we were looking at that, but I think that's not going to get passed. It's really fascinating. They call that soft power. You don't have to cut their heads off like Henry VIII. You just make a phone call and say, what is this going on? Oh, yeah. That's not going to happen. I read a National Geographic magazine article. I still have it. Got the magazine. I can show it to you. And it was about how King Charles III, as the Prince of Wales, controlled 1/3, can't do a 3, 1/3 of all the rental property in England. He had a corporation, Prince of Wales Corporation. 1/3 of all the rental property. And they were asking a farmer, what do you think about this? National Geographic magazine. What do you think about the Prince of Wales owning 1/3 of all the rental property? He said, no. It's like a dairy farmer. He said, no. You're not going to get me to make a comment about Charlie Boy. That's what he said. You're not going to get me. He's in Yorkshire. You're not going to get me to make a comment about Charlie Boy. Okay. Now, last comments. People need to keep an open mind, says Shaggy. And yes, too many people turn discussions into arguments. I don't do that, but other people do because they're fanatics. They use personal attacks because it's easier than learning about the topic. Little Freudian slip there with that promise, laughing out loud. Yeah. So with a lot of this history, you got to read between the lines. Like, it's not really what they said. It's kind of like who they were talking to and why were they talking to them. That farmer did not want any trouble, but 1/3 is a lot. I guess they got to invest somewhere, though. Yeah. I got the order. I could pull it out. You see all those yellow, see all that yellow behind me? That's National Geographic magazines. And they said 1/3 of the rental property. So if I control 1/3 of the rental property in the United Kingdom, I wouldn't be out there trying to bludgeon people to run things because I know I'd already be running things. So, and I like that. I remember back in 1992, they said the Queen is now going to pay tax. That was the big story. The Queen agrees that she's going to start paying income taxes. And I remember showing that on the video in my classroom, and many students started yelling out. I didn't say a word. I'd make a comment. I just showing the BBC report. I didn't say anything. And this about 3 students said, but that means she's paying taxes to herself. I said, well, she's paying the tax. They said she's paying taxes to herself. I said, right. She's the head of state. I believe it. Enjoy your walk. I worked out when I woke up for about 20 minutes. A bit cold for walking today. No, I'm going to walk right now. I'm going to walk an entire mile. Sorry for the long video, but it's, you know, it's very interesting to talk about these things. The products, Bandolero and Montezuma, no, they're not too interesting. But the story behind the products and then the ancillary commentary, those are interesting. The products themselves, no interest in those at all. Handling that money from her right hand to her left. Yeah, the Queen's going to pay tax to the government, which she is the head of the government. Well, that's great. I'm going to go pay taxes to myself right now. All right, bye, everybody.